Well, I felt good going into the fight. I felt confident. I thought that I had a really good chance of winning. But of course, took him very seriously. And I know that he's one of the best fighters out there. And I really have no excuses. He was just better, I think. A very good fighter. And obviously, it was a much tougher fight than what I had with Fury. Well, I would say that this fight with Joshua was a lot tougher than the fight I had with Fury. That could be a good fight. I don't know. There's a lot of variables, but I always said that Fury would win that fight. But now, just being in with Joshua is a little bit different. But it's hard to go against Tyson, I think. But I don't know. It's changed my mind a little bit after this fight.
Going into the day of reckoning, if you took a poll to see what upset is more likely to happen, people would have said Watling over Joshua because of what Joshua's last performance is. Even though they've been in there with he's been in there with great competition. Usyk twice, and Jermaine Franklin I think is underrated. Hernandez he should have gotten rid of earlier, but not just that, because Otto Watling with the distance with Fury and almost pulled the upset. And most people think Fury is the best heavyweight in the division, including I thought at one point he was. So going by that assumption, we thought Watling was more than likely or had a good chance to pull the upset over Joshua. And when you look at the Parker fight, some people regard Deontay Wilder is the best or the second best heavyweight in the division behind Fury. So going by that logic, people thought, oh, well, Parker has no chance. Parker's on the downside of his career. Wilder gets rid of Parker in 6 or 7 rounds. That was the thinking. Even Wilder said that Joshua's fight would be more difficult than his. And when it's all said and done, it was the opposite. Joshua made Watling look easy work. Even Watling said himself, he didn't know that fight would be as difficult as it was. He said it was a tougher fight than what he had against Tyson Fury. He said also he had a change of heart. Before the Joshua fight, he thought Tyson Fury would walk over Joshua. Now he thinks it's a much closer fight. He still favors Fury, but he thinks it's a much closer fight. He said Joshua is better than what he thought he was. And this comes to show you, sparring is just practice. Because Watling sparred Joshua a few times, and it didn't help him in the ring, and he didn't know how good Joshua was. And that's why he assumed going into this fight, he would pull the upset. And he figured out Joshua is a better fighter than what he thought he was. Props to Otto Watling for keeping it real. He just said Joshua was a better fighter that night. No excuses. Super middleweight contender Dave Morrell believes a fight with Canelo will be more difficult than fighting a the Mexican monster, Benavidez. He says both guys are great fighters. I disagree with that, but he says both guys are great fighters. I mean, Benavidez has the potential to be a great fighter down the line, but right now, I wouldn't consider him a great fighter. But he said they will both be tough challenges. Skill-wise and boxing IQ, I'm going to go with Canelo will be a tougher challenge for David Morrell. Morrell's only had 10 fights. Canelo's had over 60. He's fought the best in the business, and I think that experience will pay off in a fight like this. So I think it's easier for Dave Morrell to prepare for David Benavidez, but David Benavidez comes forward. He's a pressure fighter. Canelo is better defensively, first-class counterpuncher, higher boxing IQ. So I do think this would be a tougher fight for David Morrell. Not to mention, Canelo has punching power. Besides that, David Morrell acknowledges that Canelo has a lot of options. So David Morrell rather fight David Benavidez first because that's the fight he's more likely to get. And Benavidez is not going to get a Canelo fight until September, if that. So why not take on David Morrell? Even though that's a risky fight, and Morrell's only had 10 fights, and I would give the advantage to David Benavidez. But these days, fighters do not want to take a risk. David Benavidez's payday could be right around the corner in September. So unfortunately, Dave Morrell might have to find another opponent. And why not fight Caleb Plant? Caleb Plant's another good option for David Morrell. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Would David Benavidez be a tougher opponent for Canelo Alvarez, or is Dave Morrell right? Canelo is a tougher fight than David Benavidez at this point of his career. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Jay Beasy, I'm gone.